I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do, getting paid a fraction of the cost.
Just look at this one, for instance, where Taraji seems like she is fighting back her urge to cry.
You know, and I don't think Oprah was trying to out me. I'm not prepared to discuss, that I'm gay.
On Oprah, yeah, I've been excluded, yeah.
Oprah Winfrey said, I'ma have your mama. I'd have said, shut that down. I don't need nobody seeing my mama be greedy.
Because she's angry at Oprah for betraying her.
Taraji P. Henson, David Letterman, Janet Jackson, and so many more celebrities have had something to say about Oprah for quite a minute, and it's time that we listen. So people don't usually feud with Oprah, at least not publicly, so that's why it was kind of jarring to see Taraji P. Henson speak out about the disrespect that she faced on the set of The Color Purple, a film where Oprah was an executive producer. Henson's comments sparked immediate rumblings of a feud between the two women, as well as a necessary conversation about the way black women in Hollywood are constantly disrespected and underpaid. While Oprah has claimed that there is no hatred between the two, there's definitely some kind of mess and some kind of drama. So back in December, Taraji told The Hollywood Reporter that she was fed up with the industry. She said she was sick of being underpaid and that she had been fighting tooth and nail every project to get the same freaking quote. Later that month, Gayle King asked her about, when she said she wanted to retire from acting, and the star got teary, saying she was just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what she does, getting paid a fraction of the cost. She's tired of hearing her sister say the same thing over and over. She said that every time when she thinks she's breaking another glass ceiling, when it's time to renegotiate, she feels like she's at the bottom again, like she never did what she just did. After her comments went viral, she sat down with the New York Times for a more in-depth interview, and in it she spoke out about racism in Hollywood, pay inequality, and the unfair working conditions on sets like The Color Purple and Empire. She said she hasn't had a raise in her pay since her work in 2018, and it almost led her to walk away from The Color Purple. She said they don't care. They're always looking for a deal and trying to pay you the least amount. The actress mentioned how the cast was given rental cars and was asked to drive themselves to set in Atlanta, and when she asked for a driver, she was apparently told, well, if we do it for you, we gotta do it for everybody. And she said, well, do it for everybody. She spoke about her time on Empire, during which she said she was fighting for trailers that weren't infested with bugs, which, I'm sorry, that should be basic human rights. In terms of contemporary American talk show hosts, Oprah Winfrey and David Letterman are two of the biggest names of all time. For the longest time, their shows were a place where the most influential figures in popular culture felt comfortable enough to throw off the cloak of privacy and be more candid about their lives than ever before.
Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor, please welcome Oprah Winfrey.
This is the worst Super Bowl party ever.
Now, Dave, be nice.
He's just saying that because I'm here.
He's just saying that because I'm here.
However, although they were both masters at conducting interviews, for a long time the pair were locked in a strange rivalry that had everybody else perplexed. The two had a feud that lasted more than 2 decades, with Oprah refusing to speak to Letterman whenever they bumped into each other. According to an account in the Huffington Post, it all started when Oprah appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman back in 1989, and for her it was an uncomfortable experience to say the least. The crowd was angry, because the night before she'd hosted a TV show about devil worshipping, which was a complete disaster due to the outlandish claims of some of her guests that she seemed to entertain, including one deranged woman called Rachel. So when she was on Letterman, the crowd was so heated that one guest was like, "Rip her, Dave!" Now, later on, Letterman explained why he felt Oprah was so angry with him. He said, "I think she resented the fact that I didn't rise to the occasion and, knock out the guy, which I probably should have, but it was completely out of control and didn't know what I was doing." Admittedly, the late night talk show host did not help matters, as afterwards he would make quips about Winfrey's feelings towards him and exaggerate the situation. Letterman even claimed he was ill because he ate clams at her restaurant, The Eccentric. Letterman made things worse in 1995 by tearing into Oprah during his duties as the Academy Awards host, saying, "I've been dying to do something all day, and I think maybe we can take care of this," before introducing Oprah and one of the biggest stars of the day, Pulp Fiction star Uma Thurman. "Oprah, Uma, Uma, Oprah," he quipped about their names before adding, "I feel much better. Have you folks met Keanu?" Now, despite Letterman being rude, Oprah's real hatred started years earlier in a different moment from her appearance on his show back in 1989. Speaking with Jon Stewart in 2010, Letterman explained that Oprah hated him after he left her with his bill at a restaurant they were both eating in. So apparently that predated the Academy Awards. Apparently she was out for food with Stedman, her partner, and Letterman was with his then girlfriend Regina. They were both at a restaurant having lunch, and he was like, "Oh, this is hilarious. I'm gonna make Oprah buy us lunch." So when time came to pay the bill, Letterman told the waiter, "Oh, this woman right over there has been kind enough to take care of our check." And the duo waved to Oprah as they left the premises. He's like, "We got a free lunch," and that's where it started. It looks like they're buddy-buddy now, but still, I feel like there's some tension still behind the scenes. Toni Braxton took aim at Oprah in a TV expose, alleging the TV titan was mean to her during a 1998 interview about the singer's financial problems. The R&B star insists the TV chat severely damaged her reputation after the host made some choice remarks about her overspending, which led Braxton to declare bankruptcy. In a taped interview with VH1 for a Behind the Music special, the singer said, "She was so freaking mean to me, I was in shock. She said, 'I hear you have Gucci flatware.' I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have Gucci flatware." And Toni was like, "Well, you didn't have Gucci flatware because you didn't want to buy it. It's not because you can afford it." But Toni said, Oprah made me feel this big, which, she deserves better. Janet Jackson's beef with Oprah Winfrey is a lot more personal than some of the other entries I've talked about today. So when Janet Jackson was keen on her interview with the talk show host, she was horrified when her brother's descendants were called on the show. Janet saw this as Oprah using Michael's family as a means to boost her ratings. And there are sources that reported that there was an intense conversation between Janet and Oprah, one that has created a lasting feud between the two billionaires. Back in March of 2010, Monique won the Best Supporting Actress Academy Award for her performance in Precious. Since then, she has opened up about what she said was her being blackballed in the entertainment industry for nearly a decade at the hands of media moguls such as Oprah Winfrey. So Oprah is the same talk show host who had an interview with one of Monique's family members just days after her big career accomplishment. Oprah sat down with the comedian's older brother, Gerald, who sadly harmed Monique growing up. Now, this was reportedly the first time he had admitted to his crimes, and he also confessed to being a victim of the same actions by other family members. Somebody said that Oprah needs to answer for this, because interviewing Monique's brother after her historic Oscar win, this doesn't make sense. Plus, it's starting to look bad for Oprah. Somebody else said that Oprah definitely seems like she has a mean, cold side. I just wonder why she was so mean to Monique. Monique said Oprah crossed her on so many different levels. She said that she reached out to the OWN creator, but her efforts to communicate didn't happen. 3 years after the interview, she confronted Oprah at a celebration party for Lupita Nyong'o, which was in honor of Lupita's Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Oprah was sitting on my right, she said, and then I turned to her and said, "Now I need to talk to you." And apparently you could hear a pin drop. Monique said, "Since you didn't want to return my calls for whatever reason, I'm going to say this right here." She asked Oprah why she invited her parents on the show, due to their severed relationship at the time, and Oprah said, "Oh, I had no idea the entire family was showing up." She's like, "I didn't know anything about that." And she added, "Oh, if I did anything to offend you, I apologize," which is like such a non-apology apology.
I start seeing commercials with my mother. We never talked about my mother being there. How would you feel?
Betrayed.
That is exactly how I felt.
And thanks to Oprah's weakness for theories that veer towards the decidedly out there, her legacy has been undeniably tarnished. So sure, she did endorse plenty of credible things in her heyday. Barack Obama, John Steinbeck's East of Eden, which became a bestseller after being featured on her show, which was like 51 years after it was published. But on the other hand, we have Oprah to blame for the rise of, Jenny McCarthy, who had her theory that vaccinations cause bad things on the show back in 2007, and she's been repeatedly cited as a factor in the return of diseases in the States. You've got Dr. Oz, the Turkish-American heart surgeon, first appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2004 and quickly became part of Oprah's team of experts who regularly appeared on the show. And he dispenses with facts he doesn't find convenient. He manifests an egregious lack of integrity by promoting quack treatments and cures in the interest of personal financial gain. According to experts, he's more like a Kardashian than a surgeon.
The downfall of Oprah Winfrey has been happening for quite some time, but if we just listen to certain celebrities like Joan Rivers, Monique, and the Jackson family, we would have seen that they were warning us about the talk show host. Now, Michael Jackson's siblings have a strong hatred for Oprah. Randy Jackson called out the star multiple times. Now, after Oprah interviewed their parents, Joe and Katherine Jackson, in October 2010, Randy was reportedly furious. After the interview, Randy tweeted, "I know how Oprah feels about my brother and family." He claimed that Oprah was airing episodes related related to his brother's trial in 2005 to make him look bad in the public eye. Randy said that he believed that Oprah wanted to see Michael in jail. Now, apparently, when Michael saw Oprah do this, it was the last straw. It was then made clear that she could not and would not be trusted again. That was no coincidence. She's the last person on earth Michael would want around his children, Randy said. Then, Janet Jackson aired out her grievances with Oprah in 2010. That year, Oprah was given access to Michael's former home after being granted an interview with Catherine and his 3 children. Now, many people in the Jackson family were aware of Michael's distrust in Oprah and didn't want the interview to go through. They especially disapproved of Oprah being allowed to film inside his home and conduct his kids' first interview, as Michael didn't like them being in the public eye. A source said Janet is furious. She thinks Oprah took advantage of Michael's children for TV ratings. Janet later told her Michael would be heartsick that Oprah used his kids as pawns, they said to the National Enquirer at the time. The 2 women had a blistering blow-up during a telephone call on the day the show was taped. When Oprah made it clear that she was going ahead with the interview, Janet screamed, "Oprah, you make me sick." Which, hey, I can't blame her for. Oprah seems like a total opportunist and just wants the best story, and she doesn't really care about people's feelings and how her actions will affect them. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, and Janet and Randy didn't want their family to be pawns anymore. Now later, when Oprah did an interview with Michael's alleged victims, Michael's brother Jermaine tweeted, "So many in media, including Oprah, blindly taking Leaving Neverland at face value, shaping a narrative uninterested in facts, proof credibility. We faced similar graphic claims plus trial by media in 2005. Jury saw through all of it. Trial by law proved Michael's innocence long ago. Fact." Now, it's safe to say that the Jackson family does not like her at all, and I mean, take a look at this clip from an interview Michael did with Oprah. He clearly doesn't care for her.
We were here before.
Now, Joan Rivers also wasn't a fan of Oprah. I mean, she fat-shamed Oprah on The Tonight Show in 1985 during Oprah's first ever national TV appearance. Now, Oprah recalled the incident in her book, Food, Health, and Happiness, writing, "It was all going smoothly, I was starting to settle in, and then it happened. Joan interrupted with perhaps the only question I hadn't prepared for, so how do you gain the weight? Wait a minute, did she just use my national television debut to ask me why I was so fat? The studio started spinning. The word fat reverberated in my brain." Oprah continued, "Joan sat behind Johnny's big wooden desk, telling me that she didn't want to hear any excuses and that I shouldn't have let this happen. She wagged her flawlessly manicured finger at me, pointed out that I was still a single girl, and challenged me to come back 15 pounds lighter next time she hosted." Now, it seems like Joan did this on purpose to embarrass Oprah though, as a source told the National Enquirer that Joan loathed Oprah, allegedly calling her completely opportunistic, and according to one insider, Joan says Oprah is the biggest phony in the world. She feels Oprah's real gift is exploiting people's suffering and emotions and turning them into TV ratings. Now, I gotta say, I agree with Joan on that part, but her calling Oprah fat on live TV wasn't the best thing to do. Actress Monique also had a feud with Oprah. Leading up to her film Precious's premiere, which Monique won an Oscar for by the way, Oprah interviewed Monique's brother Gerald, who mistreated her growing up. Monique, in a since-deleted Periscope video, claimed she gave Oprah her blessing to conduct the interview, but was shocked and horrified when Oprah had her and Gerald's parents in the show's audience for the piece. In May 2010, a source told Radar Online, Monique has decided to forgive Oprah and to move on, although the interview hurt her to her heart, but she's still not forgiven her family, and unfortunately, the grudge could now go to the grave because her parents, Stephen and Alice, are getting older now. She feels that her parents have never fully accepted Gerald's role in what happened. But later in 2015, Monique claimed powerful people blackballed her in Hollywood and hinted that Oprah was to blame. "Thank you, Miss Oprah Winfrey," she said during a comedy performance. Now, Monique also recalled an incident that happened with the film's producer in 2015. She said, "I got a phone call from Lee Daniels and he said to me, 'Monique, you've been blackballed.' And I said, 'I've been blackballed. Why have I been blackballed?' And he said, 'Because you didn't play the game.' So that, combined with what Oprah did did was not a good mix. Then there's Ludacris. He called out Oprah after he appeared on her show to promote Crash in 2004. He claimed that she ambushed him with criticism about hip-hop lyrics instead of talking about the critically acclaimed movie that he was there to plug. He also said that the interview was edited to make her look good and for him to look bad. He spoke about this with GQ and said, "She edited out a lot of my comments while keeping her own in. Of course, it's her show, but we were doing a show on racial discrimination, and she gave me a hard time as a rapper when I came on there as an actor." He added, "Initially, I wasn't even invited on the show, and they called the night before to tell me I could be on. So after taping, she pulled me into a room and we had a 5-minute conversation. What I got was that by having rappers on her show, she feels like she's empowering them. It was like being at someone's house who doesn't really want you there. It was already uncomfortable." He then added that she criticized him for using the N-word in his lyrics. "I don't see why people like Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, who I'm huge fans of, it's okay for them to go on Oprah," he said. "They speak the same language as I do, but they do it through comedy, so I guess that's acceptable to her." Yeah, with all that happening, I don't blame him for calling her out. And finally, there was a time when Oprah attacked the Olsen twins. In 2004, Mary-Kate and Ashley were guests on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and Mary-Kate had been hounded by the press about her weight, with intense media speculation that the star was suffering from an eating disorder. Now, on the show, Oprah says, "I know there's been a rumor that's recently surfaced that's really upset you." Mary-Kate and Ashley were both clearly taken aback by the question, and a tense moment of silence followed by Oprah saying, "You know, the one about eating." Mary-Kate was completely thrown by the line of questioning that she looked almost on the verge of tears, and Ashley, her sister, jumped in to rescue her. "Yeah, you know, people are gonna write what they're gonna write," they say. Now, after some awkward back and forth, Oprah asked the Olsen twins what dress size they are, and they reacted uncomfortably by saying, "I don't know." It was obvious that question about their body was uncomfortable, but Oprah still pushed. When they said they weren't sure, Oprah hit back sarcastically saying, "Oh, you're not sure? That's so interesting." Now, later that same year that the Oprah interview aired, Mary-Kate checked into a rehab facility to seek treatment for a food-related health disorder. All I gotta say though is Oprah should be ashamed of asking that, as it probably fueled Mary-Kate's problem. While the older generation loved Oprah Winfrey and what she stood for, people are now seeing the dark side of the star, from hoarding her $3 billion to help cover up crimes. Here are warning signs that prove she's evil. Starting off with the most recent event is her Maui Fund. Dwayne Johnson and Oprah Winfrey launched the People's Fund of Maui, a fund intended to put money directly into the hands of adults displaced by the deadly wildfires that had ripped through Hawaii in August 2023. According to the pair's Instagram post, every adult resident who was displaced by the fires was eligible to receive $1,200 each month from the fund. Now, the pair noted that they had kicked off the campaign with $10 million in donations and asked others to help by contributing further. After announcing the fund, the pair then drew criticism from some people on social media who questioned why they were not contributing more of their personal wealth. One person on TikTok called their video tone deaf, and some commenters questioned why the pair, as wealthy celebrities, were asking others to give instead of donating more themselves. "We can't afford it, but you can," one person commented on their video on TikTok. Others questioned why the appeal for donations was being directed at the general public rather than their fellow stars with more financial means. "This is disgusting. Ask other celebrities, not people who are living paycheck to paycheck," another person said. Now, how did Oprah respond to this? Well, she made it worse. In an interview on CBS Mornings, Oprah said that she felt she had been terrorized and vilified online. Then there were the many times that she exploited her guests. Now, one of the most prolific examples of this is when a young Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were on the show. At the time the interview took place, Mary-Kate had been hounded by the press about her weight, with intense media speculation that the star was suffering from an eating disorder. Oprah, knowing this was a touchy subject, brought it up anyways. In the interview, she says, "I know there's been a rumor that has recently surfaced that's really upset you." Now, Mary-Kate and Ashley were both clearly taken aback by the question, and a tense moment of silence followed by Oprah saying, "You know, the one about eating." Mary-Kate was so thrown by the line of questioning, she looked almost on the verge of tears, and Ashley jumped in to rescue her. "Yeah, you know, people are gonna write what they're gonna write," she says. Now, after some awkward word back and forth, Oprah asked the Olsen twins what dress size they are, and they reacted uncomfortable by saying I don't know, and it was obvious that the questions about their body was uncomfortable. But Oprah still pushed. When they said they weren't sure, Oprah hit back sarcastically saying, "Oh, you're not sure? That's so interesting." Another time she's been called out for not being sensitive was when she did an interview she did with Dolly Parton in 2003 that has resurfaced, with people questioning the star and her interview tactics. Some people have questioned about what Oprah was asking Dolly, how she was asking, and what exactly her goal was by probing for personal information. In the first video, Oprah asked Dolly how she's able to look so good for her age, and Dolly gives a funny answer. Now Oprah presses her harder though, noting that Dolly has been open about having cosmetic work done. It seems like Oprah was trying to have a gotcha moment to throw Dolly off and make her uncomfortable, but Dolly just rolls with the punches and admits to it. Dolly even says she'll probably continue going under the knife, and some people are pointing out that Oprah looks disappointed that Dolly flipped it in her favor. A second clip from that same interview popped up as well, and Oprah dives right into a heavy subject, saying she heard Dolly fell into a huge depression at age 40. She doesn't really approach the topic with any sensitivity, and that's rubbed people the wrong way. Then there's the strange people she's had on her show. In 2007, Oprah brought Jenny McCarthy, the Playboy model and actress, onto her show to talk about autism. Jenny's young son, Evan, had suffered a series of seizures when he was young and was later diagnosed with autism. Jenny was then adamant that vaccinations Evan received caused his autism. Now Oprah gave her story a platform and unwittingly started the panic we know today. During that interview, Oprah never challenged Jenny's views either, and Jenny had no scientific evidence to back this claim up. Then, if you didn't know, Oprah has a book club, and she added James Frey's book A Million Little Pieces to the reading list. Now, when James was promoting his books on talk shows or other media outlets, it was referred to as a memoir. But large parts of the story were later found to be exaggerated or fabricated, sparking a media controversy. Now, this was discovered after an investigation was conducted by the Smoking Gun. They determined that James had actually fictionalized some of his story, and controversy arose after Oprah initially defended the book, but she later confronted James on her show. I mean, at least she did her research about the book, but her helping spread misinformation is truly dangerous, and she hasn't taken a lot of accountability. And of course, we have to mention her scandal in South Africa. When the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007, Nelson Mandela, Tina Turner, Sidney Poitier, Spike Lee, and Oprah herself attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony celebrating the landmark boarding school founded with $40 million of Oprah's money. But less than a year later, 6 of the 152 students who had been personally selected by Oprah to attend the institution came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tiny McGabo of mistreating them. She was then arrested in November 2007 and released on bail, and she faced 14 different charges. "It has shaken me to my core," Oprah said of returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and to personally speak with the girls. "This has been one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating, experiences of my life." Now, it seems like she and the organization did not look into who they were hiring and how the operation was running. Now, this all could have been avoided. Now, following the first trial, Oprah was sued by the headmistress of the school for defamation. She alleged that Oprah defamed her by implying she was covering up the mistreatment going on at the school. However, the case was later settled outside of court before the arranged trial, according to CNN. Now, that's not all that happened here though, as speculation of numerous missing girls from the academy spread like wildfire across social media. However, the validity of these statements has not been confirmed or denied.
Oprah Winfrey paid a fortune to Apple TV Plus chiefs to buy back the rights to a documentary about her life. Apple announced with great fanfare in 2021 that Oscar-winning filmmaker Kevin McDonald would be directing the documentary about the talk show host turned media mogul. However, sources say that McDonald, who teamed up with Winfrey's longtime producer Lisa Esprimer on the project, had clashed with the billionaire after he finished the film, and it's been on hold ever since. Kevin made the film, but Oprah didn't like it and he refused to change it, and Oprah has paid back her fee to Apple, at least according to a well-placed Hollywood source. While industry sources speculate Oprah would have to pay millions to get the rights to the documentary back, a source in the know denies that it was 7 figures. But here's the thing. Oprah's documentary is not the first high-profile release to be put on ice. Netflix's Years in the Making Prince documentary is being held hostage due to objections from the 7-time Grammy winner's estate. Looks like documentary making isn't exactly profitable these days. Oprah's been rightfully called out for using weight loss medication, despite being a longtime ambassador for Weight Watchers. The famous public figure has confirmed she uses an unnamed substance to help control her weight. This was in a revealing chat, and she said her new slim figure is thanks to the medication and a healthier lifestyle overall. She says, "I now use it as I feel I need it, as a tool to manage not yo-yoing." She added that the fact that there's a medically approved prescription for managing weight and staying healthier in my lifetime feels like a relief, like redemption, like a gift, not something to hide behind and once again be ridiculed for. In a conversation with People magazine, she concluded that she's absolutely done with the shaming from other people and particularly herself. But here's the thing, a lot of folks and a lot of fans feel like the billionaire philanthropist is being hypocritical. Once again, given she is a proud spokesperson for Weight Watchers. She's worked with that company since 2017. One social media user wrote, "What I don't like about Oprah is she is clearly off doing Ozempic, but yet she's still pushing Weight Watchers." And another was like, "Done with shaming but okay with lying." And a lot of folks called her out, and rightfully so, for letting them believe she did it the old-fashioned way. And they're like, "Why'd you lie?" Well, I can tell you why. The legend of Oprah Winfrey as an extremely poor girl growing up without a father to a too young mother who, as Oprah claimed, carried with shame during pregnancy and then neglected her, spread when Oprah began giving interviews in Chicago. She said, "Oh, how they harmed me. I wanted to be white because I never saw white people being hurt." That's what she said, folks. She remembered her early years as being lonely. She didn't play with anybody except for, I think, the pigs she rode without a saddle in her grandmother's garden. She said, "The only thing I could talk to was the animals in the farmyard. I read them Bible stories. And apparently the years spent with a mother on welfare were even worse. We were so poor we couldn't afford a dog or a cat, so I had 2 cockroaches as pets. I put them in a jar and named them Melinda and Sandy." She entertained her audiences with stories about fetching water from the well, milking cows, emptying the drinking pot, all pretty much a fairy tale. She told her stories about her grandmother who swung a switch, her grandfather who was mean with a stick, the people who raised her for the earliest years of her life. She said, "Oh, how they harmed me." And she mentioned like her grandmother would harm her all the time. It's an integral part of Southern tradition, the way folks raise people. You spill something, game over. You tell a story, game over. She said, "Oh, it could happen all day. Nobody would ever get tired." But here's the thing. Not everybody in Oprah's family agrees with this desperate upbringing. Her mother, Vernita Lee, when asked about her daughter's habits of self-dramatization, said, "Oprah's a bit of a cold smoker." Now, if you're confused there, don't worry. Oprah's sister later dispelled the myth of immense poverty. She said, "Well, of course we weren't rich," but Patricia said that Oprah exaggerated how bad it was for them. She guesses the viewers would love her, the audience would grow if she told these stories. Cockroaches were never her pet. She always had a dog. She had a white cat. She had an eel in a tank. She had a parakeet named Bo Peep that was, learning to speak. Where Oprah got that nonsense about growing up in filth and roaches, I have no idea, according to cousin Catherine Carr Esters. She said, "I've confronted her and asked, 'Why do you tell such lies?' And Oprah said, 'That's what people want to hear. The truth is boring.'" So on air, Oprah's portrayed as this wholesome, sweet lady, this big philanthropist. But according to her stepmother, there is an unknown side to Oprah. This was a side hidden from fans for years. According to Barbara, Oprah is one of the most controlling people you will ever meet. According to Barbara, Oprah would not allow the family to stay at her house when they tried to visit, forcing them instead to stay in hotels, paying out of pocket. Barbara also said that Oprah was quick to anger when it came to her staff, with quite a few people being fired left and right over the years. But that's not all. Despite being a billionaire, Barbara, by the way, allows Oprah to stay at her home for visits, and Oprah's not a fan. So confidentiality agreements are not uncommon in the world of Hollywood. Look, Marvel will literally have somebody take you out if even a single line leaks to the public. Well, in Kitty Kelly's tell-all book about Oprah, the author mentions the confidentiality agreements that coworkers and guest stars had to sign to be on any of her shows. So this was like everybody. We're talking like Tom Cruise to the person who made Tom's muffin. Over 500 staff members over time were forced to sign this document, if not more. One former employee, Elizabeth Cody, tried to write a book about her time working for Oprah, But then again, that NDA, because, well, you signed that agreement, game over. The NDAs were not meant to be a way to keep just show secrets safe, but any and all of Oprah's secrets as well. According to Elizabeth, the documents were signed by almost everybody in Oprah's life. So Elizabeth felt she was kind of being muzzled afterwards. And if you think this didn't extend to the guests, don't worry. In 2010, Unicus Performance Training filed a lawsuit against Oprah and her company Harpo, claiming they never got paid for a workout program they were developing, because Harpo fired them for violating the terms of their confidentiality agreement. How so? Well, UPT sent out a mass email promoting their upcoming appearance on Oprah's radio show, and according to the NDA, they weren't allowed to use Harpo's name, Oprah.com's name, or Oprah's name for advertising or promotional use. But they were just promoting their appearance on her show. They weren't saying anything like, hush hush. So Oprah has owned over 21 dogs throughout her lifetime, if we're not even counting the ones she allegedly had in her upbringing. But here's the thing, being a dog mom hasn't come without its challenges. At one point, 2 of the mogul's dogs were at odds for over a decade, leaving her frustrated as she tried to maintain peace in the house. She even created barriers to keep them from being in the same room. Thankfully, her relief came when she met Cesar Millan, the renowned dog whisperer, who transformed the household dynamic. He explained that her house was like maximum security because she had to separate the Cocker Spaniel, Sophie, and the Golden Retriever, Luke. Apparently, this was going on for 11 years. How did this happen? Well, Oprah's bond with Sophie was particularly deep. In 2011, she shared that one of her greatest teachers was Sophie. Sophie lived for 13 years and came to work with Oprah every day. She was there for every show, she was backstage at the Oscars and the Emmys. She even waited in the car if Oprah went to an appointment. She was so attached to Oprah that if Oprah even left her in a hotel room for 5 minutes, Sophie would start howling. She had separation anxiety, and it was really bad. There were so many times that Oprah thought she was going to get kicked out of hotels. Oprah has long been claimed to be a great charitable woman, and recently she's been, an outspoken advocate for the island of Maui. But here's the thing, when everything happened last year, she started a fund. She didn't really donate a lot of money. She was asking for you to give her your money to help everybody else. And a lot of folks were like, hey, why aren't people speaking up about this? Why aren't we calling Oprah out for being a phony? Folks were like, well, she's only really doing this because that's where her vacation home is. She doesn't actually care. And a lot of folks found that really shallow and really awful.
From talking to the royals to promoting a fraud on her show, Oprah Winfrey is known to be controversial and constantly pushes the limits, but sometimes she goes too far. So with that in mind, here's our list of Oprah's most outrageous interviews that caused public backlash. Starting off, we obviously have to talk about Harry and Meghan. Now, Oprah with Meghan and Harry was a 2021 television special hosted by Oprah Winfrey that featured an interview between Oprah, Meghan Markle, and Prince Harry. And the interview came the year after Prince Harry and Meghan announced their decision to step down as working members of the British royal family in January 2020. Now, it's kind of ironic that they did this interview because Meghan and Harry claimed that one of the reasons why they were stepping down from the royal family was because they wanted their privacy. Now, during this interview, the couple revealed a lot of information. Ahead of the interview, a clip was released of Oprah asking Meghan whether she was silent or silenced during her time as a working royal. Now, after Harry and Meghan took their relationship public, she said she was given a very clear directive from the moment the world knew Harry and I were dating to always say no comment. Now, Meghan also opened up about how she had dark thoughts while being a royal and how she wanted to hurt herself. She also said that she never got the proper mental health care from the palace that she needed. A reading encouraging segment of her talk show that made any selection a bestseller. Now, in September 2005, she picked the book A Million Little Pieces, a memoir by James Frey, about his years-long struggle with addiction. James then actually appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show to discuss the work that she called gut-wrenching. But in January 2006, the Smoking Gun did an investigation and they discovered that James had made up or exaggerated certain parts in his so-called memoir. Now, weeks after the story broke, he returned to the Oprah show to face angry viewers and a livid Oprah. "I feel duped," she said. "But more importantly, I feel like you betrayed millions of readers," she added, also asking him why he felt the need to lie. Now, he stammered and tried in vain to make excuses, arguing that he altered a lot of the details, but that the overall plot of the memoir was true, to which the studio audience responded with boos, gasps, and groans. Now, this cringeworthy interview was so controversial, Oprah even later apologized to him for not treating him with the empathy she reserved for other guests, regardless of the mistakes they'd made. Now, this whole thing was honestly just so messy. Now we have Tom Cruise's crazy interview. Tom made an appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2005 to promote his remake of The War of the Worlds. Now, no one really focused on the movie though, as it was more about Tom's behavior. When the topic changed to who Tom was dating, which was Katie Holmes by the way, Tom couldn't contain his excitement. At different times during the interview, he jumps out of his seat, throws his arms in the air, pumps his fists, falls to his knee, and slaps the ground, squirms, and even tries to walk it all off. Now, the studio audience absolutely loved this. "Something happened to you," a delighted Oprah exclaimed at one point. "I'm in love," Tom explains. And he also jumped on her couch during this interview. In total, he jumped on the couch twice to show his excitement. Now, critics of the interview though weren't so sure, with the Ringer saying it rocked Hollywood and became a turning point for how we discuss and understand celebrities, and not in a good way. Others thought this interview was cute though. It was a new side of Tom that we had never really seen before. Then there was the interview with Elizabeth Taylor in February 1988. Now, back in the day, Elizabeth was a huge star, but at this time she had washed up a little bit, as she appeared in the occasional TV show or miniseries, but she still dominated tabloids and celebrity magazines because of her love life. Now, this included 7 marriages to 6 men at that point. And yes, she married, then divorced, then married and divorced the same man over again. The New Yorker reported that when Oprah landed an interview with Elizabeth, it was the first major celebrity sit-down for the Oprah Winfrey Show, and it was a big deal. There was one rule though that Oprah had to follow during this interview: do not ask Elizabeth about her love life at all. But Oprah decided to ignore this and asked Elizabeth about her relationships. Elizabeth hit back though, saying it was none of your business, and gave Oprah a cold stare. Now, this put Elizabeth off, and during the rest of the interview she wasn't as nice. According to Oprah, after that her responses were short and terse, making for bad, boring, and hostile television. At one point, Oprah tried to cut the tension by quipping, "You're so revealing. You just tell everything. I declare you've got to stop talking so much, Miss Taylor." Now, I can see what she was doing here, as she was trying to bring the mood up, but it didn't work and just made things worse. Cindy Crawford and Elite Model Management founder John Casablancas were interviewed on Oprah's show in 1986. During the segment though, Oprah had the young model stand up so the audience could see her body, which honestly just feels extremely weird. Now, reflecting on the encounter 37 years later on Apple TV's The Supermodels, Cindy said, "I was like the chattel or a child, be seen and not heard. When you look at it through today's eyes, Oprah's like, stand up and show me your body, show us why you're worthy of being here," she said. In the moment, I didn't recognize it, and watching it back, I was like, oh my gosh, that was not so okay, really, especially from Oprah. And yeah, she's right, that was not okay at all. Now, in the spring of 1996, according to CBS News, the United Kingdom experienced an outbreak of mad cow disease. Now, per the FDA, the disease destroys cows' central nervous system, and if humans eat infected beef, they can contract a deadly variant. Now, during the mad cow scare, the Oprah Winfrey Show booked Howard Lehman. The former cattle rancher had adopted a vegetarian lifestyle and went to work for the Humane Society's Eating with Conscious Animal Welfare campaign, and he appeared on the show to discuss the threat of mad cow to Americans. Now, he pointed out that feeding the remains of mad cow infected cattle to other animals could have facilitated the spread, and that such practices were common in the US. Now, Oprah was left stunned by this. "It has just stopped me cold from eating another burger," she said. Now, with Oprah's influence, right after the episode aired, beef prices plummeted for almost 2 weeks, hitting a 10-year low. As a result, a group of Texas cattle ranchers sued Oprah for $10.3 million, alleging that her remarks caused undue harm to the entire beef industry. One Texas rancher, Paul Engler, lost an estimated $6.7 million and organized a class action libel lawsuit against Oprah and her show's producers for besmirching American beef. But after a 6-week trial in Texas, Oprah won.